good place to stop the music. So, we have a green screen. I mean, it's not really a green screen. What it is now I am stuck in the realm, and we are sitting on a dirt pile with some CRT monitors that were lent to us by Red Jaw's army, and we're traveling with the army. You can see them behind me. We're stuck in the realm, and I'm going to tell you, it's not great. It's, you know, headphones off, bare in my heart and soul, post-apocalyptic landscapes, not great. Well, so, you know, I'm here with the realm, and you know, you can see the army behind me. Check them out. There they are, all around me. Red Jaw's army. Terrible situation I'm in, but we're gonna make the most of it. We're gonna color some realm. So, what do we got here? We have page 2 out of issue 5 on the left, and then we have page 25 out of issue 4 on the right. Now, I don't think that issue 4 is out yet. So, we did minimal spoils. It's really, these 2 pages are a lot of people talking and yelling. And since, you know, none of the dialogue's up, I can show you these pages. Now, this, I did have to black out a panel. That panel, little spoiler heavy. So we're just gonna kind of do our thing on this page. One of the things that I did before we got started here was so currently I kind of like went in and fixed the flats because I think that's probably a little bit boring normally. So what we have right now are basically like the good guys hanging out in this camp. And when I did it, when I finished the issue off for issue 4, it's kind of like dusky but like heading into darkness kind of thing. And so a lot of these guys down here, especially, like, they're kind of starting to blend in with the background a little bit because it's, you know, it's getting dark. It's getting tougher to see. It's getting tougher to you know, distinguish figures and stuff like that. However, this worked for this particular moment. But we're gonna take what we did for issue 4, and we're gonna try to, throughout issue 5, ramp up the color. We're gonna start in a place of like, oh, this is the same palette, because it's like a direct continuation from, like, you know, one scene to the next. And when you do something like that, you gotta, like, it has to work together, because even though it's separated by issues, you will run into the problem of, like, when it's in trade, it's gonna feel wonky and weird, and when somebody picks it up not month to month, when they pick up all at once, it's going to look wonky and weird. So even though I do want to change the scene for issue 5, we're going to change it very gradually. And we're not even going to change it totally on this page. Like, this page is going to be colored a lot like the end of issue 4. It's just, you know, like, we got to make it, we got to set the foundation before we get weird. And on this page in issue 4, we kind of like, and I've said this before, the realm exists in a place where the color theory is very complementary colors. Like, for this particular page, it's like blue highlights and, you know, a reddish kind of shadows. So that's what we're going to do for the stuff on the left here. And these colors, like, they're working together, but, like, they're real weird. Like this is like a greenish pukish color for, like, his skin tone, and it's like real gray, real desaturated, but it like kind of works still. Like, and this is the kind of like, since we're going from like, you know, one scene that's already set up that I colored a month ago to now, like I'm trying to match it. And this is like a big deal in comics, because when you do a pinup, you can kind of just do whatever, you know. You can just kind of like, you know, make whatever you want to make, like a digital painting. Like Magic the Gathering artists and concept designers like don't have to think about this stuff. This stuff is like a beast of probably comics and like, I don't know, effects, cinematic effects. Like, you know, the Human Torch can't look weird on screen. I've been thinking a lot about the Fantastic Four today. I apologize. The Human Torch can't look weird on screen, like from moment to moment to moment. He's got to be consistent. And the same is true with comics. So what we're doing is just kind of like selecting, and we're not going to select anything in here. Don't look at that. There's nothing to see in there. Don't worry about that. We're selecting all the characters, and we're going to start putting in shades. So this is kind of how I start every page. And when you need to do consistent work from page to page to page, having a regular method is very, very important. Because if you go in and you're like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do, we'll try a little bit of this, we'll try a little bit of that, and then like I'll leave for a while, and then I'm going to come back, and you know, like maybe I'll tweak it in a different way. Like, it's challenging enough to do it, to like have a method that I've locked down for coloring, and then also be like, okay, now we're also going to you know, I don't know where I was going with that. It's tough to have a method and then still month to month like remember what I did last month, you know? Like, there's probably, between this page that got made, the page on the right, and the page on the left, there's probably at least 60 pages in between, if not more. It's crazy. Like, it's a breakneck pace of comics. So like, I remembered that I was washing with a lot of blues and then desaturating. Like, that's kind of what I remember. And you know, that's where we're going to try to live for this as well. But for now, I kind of like turned off the special effects and then kind of like, you know, I drop picked and just did that on the sly. But let's get into some color. By the way, Discord is active, and a bunch of people joined when I mentioned it on Twitch on Twitter the other day. Thank you for popping in. We've been sharing some art. Like, we were talking about. I've been thinking about maybe kicking around an idea of doing a like holiday gift guide for comics, but I don't know. Like, a lot of sites are doing that, so I mean, it's pretty well-worn territory. I don't know if I bring anything new to it, but we were talking about how comics that we were into on there, and I was saying that I haven't read Four Kids Walk Into a Bank, which is like a lot of people were super into. I've been seeing it pop up, speaking of holiday guides, like I've been seeing it pop up on like a lot of lists. So I've been wanting to pick it up. It came recommended. We're gonna add a little bit of some details in here. This stream's a little different than the other streams, not just because the interns figured out how to use the green screen, but also because oh, I guess I could have used this color. Let's do minimal different colors. But also because like right now is the busiest time for comic book artists. I don't know if you guys know this, but the holidays will wreck your local comic book artist. The thing about the holidays is everybody's, especially in December, like there's going to be like, mid-December, mid-late December, like everybody shuts down until like New Year. So if you want your stuff to print on time and make it to comic book shops on time, like all of your stuff gets accelerated. All the deadlines get accelerated. So while it would be fun to do, like I have some, I think I mentioned it in a previous stream. I've got some old Thor stuff I want to do. I've got like a Magic cover, that's Magic with a K, from the New Mutants, that Rick Leonardi did, that like is totally rad, and like the colorist at the time, like the tech wasn't there, and they just kind of like were like, flat colors, here you go, we're done. And I'm like, oh man, I'm like antsy to get into that cover. It looks so good, and I have a lot of plans for it. But as much as I want to do that, I kind of have to fold you guys into my schedule. You and me. We're working together. Because holidays are rough, man. So yeah, not only are we working with like a limited schedule because of like, the print shops close, but we're also coming off of Thanksgiving. So like, I, like you, went home to celebrate Thanksgiving, or maybe you didn't go home to celebrate Thanksgiving, but like I took some time off for that, and then I also got a little sick over Thanksgiving. All of this stuff like impacts the workload. So we're actually, I thought we were going to be far more behind than we actually are, but thankfully we are not super far behind. But the only way I was going to get any streaming done is if I fold you in. So all that said, I don't really have like a lesson, quote unquote, planned. Last time we talked about complementary colors. By the way, if you're like, oh, I wanted to share that video because I love sharing Nick's video, and look, that's the only way to grow the stream. Share the videos, share them everywhere. Just put them just grandma, for Christmas you get free videos online. That's it. Done deal. So yeah, if you were like, oh, I want to share that video of like Nick doing the complementary colors, guess what? It's not there anymore. And the reason for that is because I lifted that from Somni's Patreon, and he sent me a message that was like, hey man, just in the future, can you not pull from the Patreon? Because he wants to keep the Patreon stuff on the Patreon. He said it's happened to him before, where people were like spreading it in other places, and I get it. Like he's trying to make his Patreon a thing, just like we're trying to make the stream a thing. I don't fault him for asking for that or anything. Like, he's a good dude. He didn't ask me to take them down, but I took them down out of respect for him and what he's trying to build. So, but you should, if you enjoyed those streams and enjoyed the art that I was working on, you should join his Patreon. Just go. It's only $1, and he creates content for it like all the time. Chris Omni's a good dude, and he deserves the support. Yeah. So what that means is we're gonna do another complementary color thing down the road. I didn't want to do like one after the next, but we're gonna do another one sometime soon. Something that did happen though in that stream was we cracked the first Cards Against Humanity envelope. Yeah, and And now that content is gone. It's gone. But luckily, our friends at Cards Against Humanity, friends of the stream, they sent us more content. So we're going to crack that. I don't know if we're going to do it. We might just use camera 1. I don't think we're set up to use camera 2. I don't know if you guys know this, but the interns got the green screen working. So, but because of that, I have like an intense amount of lighting going on. Yeah. The intense amount of lighting is A, very hot, and B, a little in the way of doing the second camera. So we might either crack it on screen at the end here, or you know what? I might just put a exclusive YouTube video out there, just me cracking it open. I didn't save a local copy of the vid. Yeah, I was thinking about cutting the Cards Against Humanity section and uploading it as a highlight. Yeah. I thought about all of that, Kate, mere minutes after deleting everything. In typical fashion, look, like I talk about this a lot. When you start doing something, there's a learning curve to all of this. And there's a learning curve to like video production and stuff like that too. And now I know, oh shit, I could have just like clipped it out, like what can you do? But maybe we'll do an exclusive YouTube thing. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I'll probably do a video follow-up to this, and we'll talk some Cards Against Humanity. Yeah. I mean, tell you the truth, much like comic book, I have comic book coloring, all of this, not Red Jaw's Army, not all of this, but all of this is pretty much locked down. I'm not saying that my colors are perfect. Everybody grows, everybody changes, and I'm learning stuff all the time, but I'm fairly confident in my ability to do professional colors. What I'm not confident in is my ability as a video production editor and person, and the editor or the interns, no help at all. If anything, hindering the process, actively hindering. I have 14 of them working the green screen right now, just maintaining. It's madness over here. Yeah. So anyway, they're using a computer, by the way, the interns. They're using a computer that you have to fill with diesel gasoline. I don't even know where they got that thing. But, I learned at this point not to even ask. You kind of let them do their thing. But yeah, so this stream, I'm learning this stuff as I go, and I will get better and better at it as I get more and more experience with it. And you'll see the stream get better and better. I mean, it's grown even from day one. Day one, I was using a webcam from 2004, and then a headset mic that was tinny and weird, and I got smarter about the equipment. I asked some people what they were using, and did some research. Anything, it's just oh, I don't. And this is true of comics. This is true of art. This is true of coloring. I don't know what I don't know. I'm a simple human being. And like I'm still figuring out things about color, but I know a good amount about it now. And I'm still figuring out things about video production. I know very little about that. We're gonna be doing, by the way, we're gonna be doing sketchbook page a day on my Discord. The link is down at the bottom, where the Twitch stuff is. If you're watching this on Twitch, you just scroll down on my profile. There's a image called Discord. Click it. You'll get sent to the Discord. It's basically just like a chat room. I'm in there hanging out like pretty much all day. I just keep it open while I work. So if you ever want to like bounce stuff off me, or like we're doing art shares and stuff, like that's happening in there. But yeah, we're gonna do sketchbook page a day, and I'm gonna be sketching. I'm gonna be putting my money where my mouth is, and a lot of that I'm like super stoked on. Whoa, what was that? Is not what a shape of an arrow? Like that was weird. The reason that I'm stoked about that, about doing the sketchbook stuff, is beyond like the fun of drawing and blah, and you know, the rewards of creation and other things that, you know, people tell you about. I'm excited because like I don't know what it's gonna be. Like I don't know what I don't know about drawing, and it's been a long time since I've really like thought about what I wanted to draw, you know, like that kind of thing takes like purposeful thought. And you know, we're gonna like I don't know what it's gonna be until I put that purposeful thought. So it's like really exciting because like even like I don't know what I'm like kicking around some ideas for like the first couple like in my head, but like I haven't thought about it beyond that. Like I don't know what the 10th drawing is going to look like, let alone like the 30th drawing, you know? And that's really exciting. That's like really, really exciting because like I haven't sat down. Usually when I sit down to color, I have an idea, like you guys know this because like I sit down to the stream and I'm like, all right, here's what we're going to do today. We're going to do it like this and it's going to come out like this. And like there'll be some flubs along the way, you know, nobody's perfect. But you know, eventually we get there and it's like usually pretty close to like where I want to land. And I feel like with drawing it's not that. It's going to be like even at the beginning, like I bought some sketchbooks and I was like, I don't know what sketchbooks to buy. And then, and for the record, I bought one with 60-pound paper in it that's got like 100 pages, and then I have another one of I think 100-pound paper with like 26 pages in it. The heavier the paper, the like more abuse it can put up with as far as like markers or gouache or like watercolors, which I'm all super stoked on because I haven't worked with traditional media in like barely forever. I want to get more comfortable with that. So yeah, so I was kind of like, you know, Twitter friends, artists, like, what do you buy for sketchbooks? And then like I went in and I was like, all right, well, I need like, you know, brush pens and like markers and or not markers, like pencils and stuff like that. And so I was like looking at that and I'm like, oh well, you know, like I'm gonna try this stuff out, but like if I get, you know, 100 pages in and that stuff isn't working for me like definitively, you know, I'm gonna look for solutions. And like just like trying to figure out like what markers work best for me, what pens work best for me, what like method works best for me is really exciting. Like I haven't thought about that in a long time because like I'm, you know, like locked into like what I do. Well, not really locked in. Locked in is an exaggeration, but I definitely have like a method and aesthetic that I like, that I'm like using a lot in art. And to be like totally free and like wild and like, I don't know, not knowing, like full on experimenting is super fucking cool. So if you want to be a part of that, if you want to be one of the cool kids, you can hop into the Discord and you could see me go from excitement into of the medium quickly, like reduced my brain into oh my god, what is this, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Like if you want to watch that process, my slow descent into madness, and then me at being like, why did I do this publicly, come watch me publicly. But for now, we're doing some color. I was thinking about gifting some comics. My brother's kids are almost to the age where they're like, the oldest is like getting a pretty good handle on reading, and he's like excited about it, like learning to read. And then the youngest is learning like small sentences and like cat and stuff like that. So, well, and then there's two others that are very, very young, like months old. So, but yeah, I'm like, I think maybe not this year, but next year we'll be able to well, I say we, but I'll be able to send them comics for Christmas. The oldest has just started getting into comics. He's checking out some comic books from the local library that are like, they're like these weird, like, how does an engine work kind of comics, but like write down your ideas, thumbnail ahead if you've learned anything from Inktober. It may help me keep me sane. I will keep that in mind. I used to have, I was trying to dig around for a I did forever ago in like '04, I was doing a weekly comic strip, just like, you know, I don't even know if it was weekly. It might have been daily or every other day. And I had a good time with it, and then some of the strips I thought were really funny. But I was doing that. I was like writing down a lot of ideas. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be, that's good. It's good that you planted the seed, because I would have eventually came to that on my own through a lot of like pain and suffering. And then I've been like, oh yeah, I did this other thing before. I should do that. Thank you for, you know, letting me avoid the pain and suffering. But yeah, so he's picking up these comics that were kind of like, here's what an engine looks like and how it works, and like he's interested in stuff like that, and but it's not illustrated very well, and it's a little confusing. Like I was checking them out, and I was like, dude, we can get you some good comics. I kind of want to get some Oni all ages stuff. If you have a kid and you're looking for comic books, Oni Press has like a ton of good stuff for all ages. You know, they're it's tough to find. It's not tough to find all ages stuff from the big two, but like for younger kids especially, it's like a little bit more difficult. There's like a imprint of DC Superhero Girls from DC that like does really, really, really well. And it's because all the nerdy dads buy them for their nerdy daughters, which is awesome and cute. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm slowly like ready to start introducing my brother's kids to some comic books, and I'm very excited about that. They're big into uh, board games as well, like real big. I showed them. They played video games for the first time. I showed them the Nintendo Switch. Uh, Not so into it. I think maybe they're a little young. They couldn't really, especially because it was like video games for the first time. They were like, "Wait, how do I move the character?" You know, like they were. And like once they kind of got that, they were like, "Oh, I can move him," but they're like so careful with moving this stick that it was like, it was a little tough on them. They just needed more experience with the actual manual dexterity, but like board games do not have manual dexterity. Like board games just like do their own thing. Yeah, so like it's like imagination and engagement that way. It's really cool. De Niro's rustling around back there. To see them like we played Forbidden Island, and for anyone that hasn't actually played that game before, it's about a bunch of people trying to get off of an island that's sinking, and then the island is you gotta get all 4 treasures and get off the island with everyone before it sinks. And my brother's kids were like trying to negotiate with me. They were like, "Well, what if we just leave one of you behind?" They were ready to just like burn a relationship. They're like, "Well, that person's the diver, so they'll swim back." And it's like, it's not the way the game works, bud. But like you could see them gears turning, which is cool. They were a little more engaged with it. Then when like the switch came on, they were just like unconscious, basically. Just totally sucked in. Man, I can't remember if the hilt of this dude's gun is colored differently. Is it a hilt? The handle? I don't know. Guns. Gun terminology. The handle grippy thingy, where you put your little fingers. I couldn't remember if I did an inlay. There was a while. So I did a book with Drew Moss and Cullen Bunn, and I don't know if you guys have read The Sixth Gun, but it's about cursed guns, 6 of them. And it's one of Cullen's books, and I put like a little 6-gun nod in there by one of the pistols in Blood Feud. I made to look like one of the 6-gun guns, just as like a little nod to like Cullen's other projects. I don't know. I thought it was fun. I don't know if anybody caught it or not. It's weird, like, when you make content, there's only so much, like, you can do a lot of extra stuff like that, but there's only so much you can do, like the reader will a savvy reader might pick up on it and be like, "Oh, that's cool," and then like you'll never hear about it. Like if it doesn't get put on Twitter or whatever, like I don't hear about it, so I don't know. The green screen's being weird. I think maybe because it's blowing around. Hold on, let's try to fix that. It pains me to turn off one of those fans. It's blowing around the green screen and it's getting weird. Because I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to be cooking here in like 5 seconds. Like I said, production. I got to figure it out. I don't know how streamers do it with a green screen for like Dr. Disrespect has like 2 green screens up, and I don't know how he manages to do that for like, what is it, like 6 or 7 hours at a time, and then like he'll do it 6 or 7 hours at a time while also wearing a ridiculous mullet wig, which cannot be like cool. You know, like as far as like, you know, it is pretty cool as in like that's a cool dude, but like not cool as in temperature. Yeah, that dude's got to be like cooking over there. Yeah, so the realm. We're getting close to finishing off the shading for this. If you're just tuning in, the blacked out panel, we're not going to tackle today because on stream, because it is, he does a lot of visible sweating. Yeah, I know. It's not comfortable. Like, I was like, you know, thinking the green screen. Well, let me finish my thought. If you're just tuning in, the blacked out panel is blacked out for a reason. It's got spoilers in there. I think you guys have access to the first 3 issues right now. And the big reveal in the 4th issue is currently blacked out underneath that on this page. So I don't want to spoil anything for you because it's really fucking cool. And care about you guys. There, I said it. But yeah, he does a lot of visible sweating. I'm looking forward to a lot of visible sweating in my future, I think. These 2 lights that I have set up, I'm going to look into like upgrades as far as like the green screen stuff goes. Is going to be like, okay, how do we upgrade to cool, like light that runs cooler, if that makes any sense. I don't know if that exists. I think maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I think maybe we're just doomed to sweat. Comics make you sweat. But we got some fun green screen stuff coming up. Of course, on this stream, we're streaming live from. Whoa! I disappeared. That was the wrong thing to click. We're okay. Yeah, there it is. Red Jaw's army, right behind me. I gotta reach out and touch him. Look, I'm gonna touch this guy. I'm gonna touch him. Boop. There, I did it. It got lewd. Don't worry about it. All right, we're back. We're back photoshopping. So we're close to finishing off with the first wave of shadows here, and then we're gonna kind of go in and like paint from there. Now, a lot of the stuff for the realm, like I said, exists in like this space of, it's like, you know, opposites on the color wheel, and we're kind of doing like a blue orange kind of thing. So we're gonna do blue highlights and warm shadows, but we also have to like I said, we gotta like line it up to this page over here. And actually, let's get the page without any special effects. So give me 1 second. I gotta find the page. It's deep in the matrix, and that's the problem. I'm seeing a lot of red dresses. I'm not seeing the page I want. And it's important that I get the right one because I don't want to spoil anything for you guys. I think that was 25. I think that's probably 25. Let me double check so that I don't spoil anything for you. Because we've put all this work in to not spoil. So to now accidentally spoil would be kind of rough. All right, yeah, it is 25. Now this page, like the Realm finished pages, have a lot going on. So I have like in this a super black layer right here. That's layer 2. And then I have the texture layer on top. That kind of gives it everything. Like I use a lot of texture brushes anyway, but it gives it just like a little bit extra tooth, a little bit extra grit, which is like integral to the world. But let's turn those off and kind of get in here so that we can kind of like color pick. And I mean, this is what a lot of like nuts and bolts comic coloring is like. Like getting each scene to line up. Like, see, we were pretty close, but it was a little bright. The desaturation is kind of key, and it's a lot of times the desat is kind of where I lose myself a little bit. Like I tend to lean colorful, and this book tends to not want to lean colorful. If that makes any sense. Like this book hinges on like accents of color in an otherwise like kind of grayish world. Pulls a lot from, visually for me, pulls a lot from Fallout. But Fallout has the advantage of like when they do a palette, I don't know if you've like looked at a screenshot of Fallout lately, but holy moly, is it gray. But it has the advantage of being in motion, whereas comics do not. So I have to use like a little bit more color than Fallout. So let's do the orange backgrounds. So these are kind of integral. We're gonna amp up these orange backgrounds as we go, because what I'm gonna do is amplify, like take what's down here on this page, which I said before was like kind of heading into evening, getting a little darker, washing with a lot of dark blues, and then like kind of sunsetty. And we're gonna go from here and try to like ebb the book ever so slightly, page after page, into a place that's like more red, more saturated, because it gets. Let me tell you, this is the end of the arc, and holy shit! Like, Jeremy sent this thing into me, just recently, and was like, "Hey man, here's here's some of the pages so you can start working. I know we got tight deadlines, holiday stuff, blah 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 blah. Here's the pages," and he sent them in to me, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get these to the flatter." And then I sent him an email back that was like, holy shit, these pages. Like, the thing is bonkers. And so we want to reflect how bonkers it is. We don't want to keep it like this. Like, this is too calm. This scheme is too calm. We want to, like, punch up everything that we can. So, something that I do to, like, kind of, like, add a little bit of texture and layer, and not only that, but, like, make it less monochromatic, is to take... So, we have, like, a yellow kind of green here. And we're going to go opposite, what is this, brown? Yeah, we're like, all right. So we're going to go opposite on the color wheel to like a blue. And we're like, this is like a mid blue. It's not bright, not dark, not saturated, not desaturated. We're going to set it to like 20% and just kind of like put it in a little bit in places. Not everywhere, but like, and it's alright if it overlaps and gets a little bluer. And then we're gonna kind of take it out. But like there'll be pieces of it that remain in there. Whoa, that looked weird. Maybe we should turn the canvas a little. 30%. Like, so it's gonna, we're gonna end with like a little bit of chunks of blue shining through a little bit opposite on the color wheel, and it's gonna give it just like a little panache, just like a little flavor. Hopefully that's the end goal. But this is too like splotchy. This is like too radical, too many jumps. And the way we're gonna fix that is we're just gonna take a grad set to normal and just kind of like drag it through, like even it out a little bit. We should actually save where that stuff is because we're gonna be messing with it. So I saved it to a channel. So that's a little too much, doesn't let enough shine through. That's starting to look good. And we're gonna do the same thing again from the bottom up instead of top down. And what I'm doing is just kind of like, you know, letting it have like a little bit of tooth, but fading it back a little bit. And I mean, maybe we can start to kind of like, yeah, edge into like some of the, starting to get into like the redder palettes, like maybe right here is where the breaking point is. I have to kind of poke around on the script and see if this is a good spot for it. But I suspect that it is, given what the next page looks like, which I will not tell you about. Don't ask me. Do not ask me. All right, let's take like an orange and kind of like warm it up just like a little bit. Let's muck it down just a little. Maybe we warm it. Maybe we're yeah, like lighten it up. Let's add some little bit of splatter in. Too much. 50 is fine. Yeah, because the realm also has like all these kind of like particles and stuff in the air, and we wanna lean into that. If Jeremy's gonna draw it, we might as well lean into it as well, and kind of embrace what's going down. Okay, we'll set the screen. Let's do a radial grad. Let's do like a red and just see how it looks. Yeah, see, so this is a good example. So like the red radial grad set to screen that I just put down here is interacting a lot with, like, I'm pointing like at the screen like an idiot, like you can see that. It's interacting with like a lot of the oranges and stuff down here in like a really like interesting way, 'cause it's making them more and more vibrant. But then it's also interacting with the blue stuff, turning it purple up here, which is like, it's creating, it's like so subtle, but is meaningful to the whole piece, you know? Getting that like complex range of colors into this is like, you know, meat and potatoes coloring. And it's something that I've been doing only in the last year to kind of like step up my coloring game. Like if you look in here, like we have like all kinds of different stuff. We're like all over the place. We're kind of staying, you know, like in the same area. We're like here, but we're like all over this. Like all of that variance makes it like a little more believable, a little more grounded in reality. We are the wrong color. Deselect this stuff. I kind of want to just lighten the bottom so that it's not quite as saturated. Maybe just normal. Try just normal. Yeah, there we go. So we got Rook is like nice and silhouetted up here too. It's a good shot of her. We're gonna pull them forward because in order to sell this shot, we need to sell the distance between them. We're not gonna tweak any of this, I don't think. Maybe we will. Have we selected it? Yeah. All right, let's tweak it a little bit. So much like I don't know if you guys watched the video that I did with Charlie Chu about pitching comic books, but you definitely should if you've missed that. You should go back. I think it might be, if Twitch doesn't have it anymore, it's in the YouTube. But we talked real briefly at the end about how in Helheim, in the second arc, I went around the color wheel from green to red, or maybe even before that, like yellow to red, yellow to green to red, like all the way around. Each issue started in a color and ended in a different color, and we're gonna be doing that same kind of thing with this, because this is gonna start in a place of like blues and greens, and we're gonna slowly edge into like reds, like I was saying before. All right, let's see if we need to tweak any of the color on Rook, who does some badass shit in this book, by the way. I keep wanting to, man, I really want to talk about it with you guys. This is the thing. Whoa. Spotlight search. What are you doing? This is the thing. This is how I know that I love this book. It's because, like, I am working on it, and I'm like, can you guys believe, like, it's so good. Everyone should buy this book. I don't know. It's like right up my alley. The team is great. I can't stop gushing about it. It's real good. Looks like we're gonna redden up this coat a little bit. Strap is still kind of the same color. Let's green up the strap. Actually, it might not correspond to this, but it's a marginal detail. The thing is I don't want the strap of the gun blending too much into the like wooden butt of the gun. But so we're gonna tweak that. Let's throw a grad through the shirt. Perfect, but it screwed up everything else. Cool. Nobody's nerfect. Theme of the stream. Yeah. I think we're just gonna start getting into painting. Let's put some grads in before we start painting. And I'm just kind of like trying to when I talk about painting, it's kind of like a half step between like digital painting and like actual half step between like what I'm doing now and like digital painting. We're going to just give me like a range of light and dark for me to like work under. And we're gonna tweak all of this in like a minute. So let's do that. But like this needs it for sure. Yeah. And you'll see. I'll talk about it in a second when I'm like actually executing on it. Let's change the hair. The hair is looking like a little too like maroony. It's looking a little too gray. Maybe just like 30, 20, 30. There we go. We got there eventually. All right. I think this is a good spot to kind of start doing what we need to do. To sell the distance, now this is going to be a little tough. Normally, to sell the distance between Rook and, we have to, like, normally I'd take and just wash it with like a blue to kind of like pull it forward. The problem is that Rook is very blue. So I think not only do we have to, and by the way, let's actually let's push this wall way back, because it is interfering with everything else we're doing. The problem is that like the wood of the stand is also going to be like warm, so we can't really like pull him forward with like a warm thing either. I mean, we may just use like a little bit of wash, like a little bit of dust and soot in the air to like push Rook back, and it might make it super dramatic as well. So you know what, we've been streaming for like an hour now. For the rest of the stream, we're probably going to work on this panel, because I think out of like everything, this panel's like kind of the nuts and bolts of this page. We might do the whole thing though. We'll see. Let's think. If I were there, which I am, clearly, look around me. I'm here. So now that I'm here, let's figure out like how to get him to pull forward. All right. We don't want to select him on the whole page, so let's just select him. And let me tell you too, I was talking about like trying to keep your pages consistent while you color. There's more wiggle room than you think to like consistency. It doesn't have to be perfect. It has to like be consistent panel to panel. Like being consistent panel to panel is more important than being consistent page to page. However, the last panel of a page has to kind of lead into the next panel of the first panel of the next page. And I say that not because like I'm saying, oh, don't be consistent. Like that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is like there's a little more wiggle room than you think. And like to illustrate that, we are gonna like change the whole palette out here eventually for this issue. And when you pick up this issue, which I urge you to pick up this issue because the realm is dope as hell, and you know, I know you're out there and you're dope as hell too. Why don't we give you a little bit of love? That's for you. Dope as hell. We're gonna you know, shift the whole scheme for this whole, and like the location doesn't shift. Yep. Dope as hell. Yeah, you heard me. You heard me, chat. Believe in me who believes in you. Yeah, we're gonna like, even though we don't scene change, we're still gonna palette change the whole scene. And I don't think we scene change for this whole issue, but we're gonna palette change twice, maybe a third time by the time the issue's done. Which means like when you're coloring, when you're out there like putting your book together, which, man, I know you got ideas. I know you got ideas and you're dope as hell. Put your book together. I want to read it. You know, when you're putting your book together, keep in mind that like there's leeway to it. You can kind of shift some stuff around. You aren't shackled into something. So we're bluing them up. We're blue man grouping them up. Now we're getting really dark. And that isn't going to be great for us. So let's kind of like tweak it a little bit. Uptime, We're at like a minute 4 or an hour 4. You didn't miss much. We're getting into like the nuts and bolts of the coloring like right now. The only thing you've really missed is that you're dope as hell. That's the only thing you really missed. I don't have any bots in my channel, by the way, because it's taking all of the interns' like thought process to keep the green screen running behind me. Like, you have audio off. Let me type it in chat. There you go. That's for you. Even though you can't hear this, still dope as hell. This is the stream where you find out your secret origin of being dope as hell. Anyway, we're gonna stop saying that. Yeah, so he's a little bit dark, and we don't want to get too dark because if we do, it's gonna print weird. Chat's on fire today. If you're watching this on YouTube, you gotta come over to Twitch. You gotta get in on this tete-a-tete we have going on. So we're just trying to lighten it up a little here. All right, from here. Oh man, this is gonna be fun. All right, from here, we're gonna do a new layer. We're gonna do like an orange. That's super orange. We did it. We did it, chat. But so we're gonna use that orange to like push back Rook. Create some distance. Dude, I don't understand. You should, you know, I know you can't hear this, but you should definitely turn it on the bus and then also put it over the bus's intercom. And let them know how to slowly make a comic book, I guess, is what we're going to keep their heads ringing. And by ringing, I mean slowly inform them the nuances of making a comic book. So we're gonna select this guy in the foreground so that we can deselect him from, and I'm trying to get as much of the black line as possible. You know, I should really zoom in. We should really, let's start being careful. Let's start being polite. Let's start being careful. It's going to behoove us to do this. Cool, cool, cool. Cool, cool, cool. This is taking a lot of brain power for some reason. I've never been good at staying in the lines. It's not a prerequisite to being a colorist. It'd be like the movie Speed, but with comic books and maybe a bomb. Maybe a bomb. The twist at the end would be like you find out that the bomb was actually not a bomb, and it was just like, who's the villain in that movie? I want to say, the guy from Silence of the Lambs. I don't even know anymore. Shit, that Speed is an old movie. Yeah, this is gonna be like the movie Speed, with comic books and maybe a bomb, but then when the bomb squad gets there, Gary Busey, was he the bad guy? Was he really? In my mind, I've just started combining movies, I think. Instead like Busey's like, yeah, there's a bomb on the bus, you're gonna be like, oh, the bomb squad guys came out and they found 10 copies of a failed comic book zine that he tried to get off the ground and kickstart. Busey's secret comic book past is what you're gonna find. Dennis Hopper. Man, I'm still wrong. Like, it's not Gary Busey. It's not Silence of the Lambs guy who I forgot the name of, who's a very well-known actor. Wow. It's true. I can do this one thing, internet. This is all I have for you. Don't judge me. I'm giving you all I got. Alright. We're making this selection. This is thrilling entertainment. Thrilling, gradual entertainment. So I got 4 Kids Walk Into a Bank that I gotta read, apparently. It's on every single holiday list. I gotta catch up on Paper Girls, because that's also on every holiday list. But, you know, I was thinking about, like I said in the beginning of the episode, I was thinking about making my own holiday list, but I don't know if I'll get around to it. It requires a lot of production and thought, and I just don't know if I have the time. But if I were to make a holiday list, I would put Cave Carson Has a Cybernetic Eye on there. That's a comic book that I do with Mike Oming and Gerard Way and John Rivera, and it's a real fun ride, and it's like an experimental comic book with a lot of crazy color shit going on. There's a ton of just weird chances that Mike and I took visually with the medium that I think is unique to the book. Anthony Hopkins, thank you. But I'd put it on there with every other Young Animal book. Like, I'd be like, just buy them all. Shade, Doom Patrol, and Mother Panic are all fantastic. So, excellent, perfect. This is working real well. Oh, this isn't working real well. It went in the opposite direction. Try the mask now. Try it now. Yeah, now the mask is working. Right? Yep, now the mask is working. So let's, because Jeremy apparently cannot draw straight borders, and we cannot use the rectangle tool for that. Let's select the border out as well. So my mentality here with using a mask rather than just like, I suppose I could do it just like straight on top of the art. I could do that. The mask is going to give me a little bit more room to play. And I'll show you exactly how. So there we go. We should probably, I'm in the mask right now, which is why you can't see any of the art. We should also mask probably this guy off. Oh wait, we don't want to add, we want to subtract. There we go. That's the mask. Alright, so the active area is the background here, and we're gonna push Rook back. Now we can fill this whole layer. Like, this whole layer is now filled with color, but we're only working within this small area. So we're gonna add like kind of like a smoke to it, and we're gonna do 100%. So we're just going to like add a kind of like weird smoke. It's gonna be orange. We're just kind of going wild. There are no rules anymore. Feel free to take your shirts off. Feel free, you know, like, do whatever you need to do, is what I'm saying. And then we're gonna tweak it in the actual in the actual mask. Took me a while to get there. I got there eventually. But yeah, we'll tweak it in the mask. We'll add some like dust particles because it's the realm and there's grit everywhere. We're going to maybe even it out with a little bit of glow. Like we're really just like whipping something up. So it's kind of smoky, kind of glowy. It's certainly going to push her back. So now when we click over to the mask over here, we can take the black and kind of like, hold on. Is it not? Yeah, it's working there. Oh, it's because there's no black areas down there. So like we can do like a little bit of dust, and then like select this, and we're just selecting black. We're just like in the mask. So anything we select will be kind of like pulled out. So we're just going to, and it's going to add like a second layer of like chunk to it, hopefully. And if we hate it, we can just go back. So we're trying to, and now like, so now I'm like wondering, okay, is the problem the mask, or is the problem the color of the mask that we chose? So we can kind of go in and be like, okay, well, okay, that's going to be the mask. Let's change the color. Like, because keep in mind, we're doing the smoke between them, not the actual background color. So maybe we can like lighten it up, and then maybe it's not as intense at the top. So like we can go back to the mask and kind of like darken it up at the top. And we're doing like, this is, you know, texture on top of texture, which is like one of the advantages of this mask. And another advantage of the mask is that we can also, and we want to make sure that she's like visible, so we're gonna pop her out like a little bit, and then like maybe just this back wall. Yeah. So another advantage to the mask is that we can also select like this front log, like the front part of this rigging, compared to the back part of the rigging, and create some depth there as well. I did recently a beauty cover where it was basically like, it was like almost all mask. Like I got really experimental with how the mask looked and felt. So yeah, like her perch will be a little bit in the foreground, and kind of like makes the smoke feel like it occupies space. Like it's between these rungs and a little bit on her, and then like, you know, like not at all on him, that kind of thing. So, and this is absolutely something that you can do just like I could have just made a layer and then like, you know, turn this mask off. I don't know. We could delete the mask. Like we could have just made this layer and then been like, all right, you know, like drop the opacity down and then like use the eraser and kind of like get it to the point where we want it. But the advantage of using the mask is that it's malleable. Like you can tweak it, you can change it. And I think that it's really good for situations just like this. I don't think it's necessarily something that you need to know. It's kind of like extra. And if you're making comics for the first time, and you're coloring for the first time, it may be a little over your head, as far as like how to use it. It's unwieldy. You don't need it for every situation, you know, like, so if you want to give it a shot, absolutely give it a shot, but it's not something that you necessarily need to focus on. That said, let's now focus on coloring some Rook. So, like I said, shit's going down. So we're going to reflect that in the coloring that we put down on her. Not only are we going to, like, we're going to keep her in her normal colors. I keep saying her, and, like, you know, they don't tell me things. I don't know if it's a her, or him, or an it. The freaking thing that is Rook. By the way, I don't know if you guys know this, but you can buy Rook's helmet now, apparently. From a guy who does a lot of cosplay props. And I kind of want to get that helmet. It's retailing at 500 bones. So it's a pretty penny. But man, do I want that helmet. Man, do I want to wear that helmet on stream. While we color some Realm. So what we're gonna do is, so I'm kind of like highlighting the contours, putting some shines in. Now we're real zoomed in, so we don't have to get like too crazy as far as level of detail and that sort of thing. But you know, we're still gonna make it sing. So now we want to do like a shine on there, and we're trying to use like a toothy brush because the grit kind of translates to the world and it makes it a little more believable. But you know, like, it's going down right now. Like, these characters are talking about the stuff that's going down, and you'll see what's going down. It's not to be messed with. Yeah, Rook's helmet is always really sweet. Yeah. Jeremy actually worked with this cosplay costume designer on the helmet. Came to him with designs. They made 3D printings, 3D modelings. Like, Jeremy has like a tiny little 3D printed helmet for Rook, and then gave this guy the exclusive rights to making Rook's helmet. So if you want to cosplay as Rook, there is a pretty good avenue to do it in. So, like I said, it's going down. We're all yelling timber. So, like, let's kind of, like, you know, give Rook a little bit of backlighting, a little bit of rim lighting, the comic book equivalent of, like, this doesn't make sense, but it looks cool, so let's do it. That's what's going on right now. So that way, it kind of like heightens the tension. It kind of heightens the, you know, what's going on. Like, you don't do this kind of thing for two characters in a room, like having a conversation. Even though they are two characters in a room having a conversation right now. I don't know if we're going to keep this yellow. We might turn it a little more orangey just to, like, kind of match the background. Turned off the smoke there because we're going to be painting. Yeah, let's take this red, kind of like 30% it. Yeah. And then we're getting a little bit in the helmet for like a purple. Perfect. And like, this is what I was talking about too with the sky, is like a little bit of color variation too. It's not a big deal. Like, it you can put like a little bit of color variation in there, and it'll make it look a little more full. The world will look a little less I don't know how to describe it. Like, you know how like a cartoon will look like sterilized? Like you when you look at a cartoon, all the colors are very flat. All the colors are you know, they're not gritty unless the cartoon's like made that way. Like some anime is like that, but you know, by and large, like you look at like SpongeBob SquarePants, there's not a whole lot of like, you know, grit on the characters or whatever, but like there is in the background, and that's the reason for that like color variation and stuff, is to make it like look believable. It's also to, you know, get the characters to pop off the background, but you know, whatever. I digress. Man, we spent a lot of time on Rook. She looks real good, but we should not take this much time on a very small panel, a very small character. Trying to figure out like how to maximize your time while you color is also totally huge and something to think about when you're making comics. Like, how long is the reader going to hesitate on this panel? Probably not that long. Rook's helmet is always a trap for me, because like I really like making it look good, and it's very easy to make it look good, and it's like fun to make it look good. So I'm always like, oh, we'll just spend 20 minutes on Rook's helmet, and I'm like, oh god, it's like this helmet is a quarter of an inch on the page. But here we are. We can bounce around a little on this panel. So I'm just kind of like going in and adding a little bit of texture and grit, and like painting a little bit on here. Just kind of messing around, seeing what works and what doesn't. Doesn't have to be perfect, just has to be you know, interesting, just has to be fast, just has to be all those things. So yeah. And like when you're painting and then you have like values that are kind of similar, like we have here, you don't have to be perfect, like, because the values are so similar that they're going to kind of like fold together. You know, it's like you're more margin for error if the values are very close. If they're very far apart, you have less margin for error. Like I had to be careful on Rook's helmet doing like going around here, because like the values are very different. But over here it's like, oh, I'll just gesture this stuff in, doesn't matter, whatever. Like, you know, we can go here and then kind of like, oh, we're just gonna gesture this stuff in, like over here. Kind of make this into like a bounce light, I guess, but we gotta like kind of tweak this stuff too. And like, you know, it's not gonna be like rocket science, and we have a lot of like more, not that any of this is rocket science, this is comic books, I don't know. What I'm saying is that, you know, you want to keep your jet fuel together, and but for this, you know, you can kind of just mess around. You know, you can keep it loose, and a lot of times too, like Jeremy is very good. Comics are hard to find. It's true, but it's not rocket science. Jeremy's art as well benefits from a little bit of that kinetic energy, because like his art in places can be a little more stiff, and if it's got like a little bit of kinetic energy in the colors, we're picking up and complementing like what he's doing, which is where you want to be as a colorist. You know, if it adds a little life, like it needs to, when you're coloring something, you want to add life. That's the whole point. Like, just coloring it in isn't where you want to be. Like, because then you just be like, does it have color? All right, we're done. Like, you want to breathe life into it. So we're adding some highlights onto the wood stuff here, but not at the bottom, because we want to kind of keep your focus like here at Rook. She's got her spandex, her him it spandex suit here, so we're gonna add some grads in. We're not gonna paint them because the grad's gonna look slick, whereas like a gritty black and white comics feel more natural to read. Depends. I've read a lot of terrible black and white comics that could have got a lot better with a decent colorist, but that also might be because like my brain when I read black and white comics goes, okay, what we got to do here on this panel is a XYZ, and I don't know if people read black and white comics like that. I think it's just from years of doing coloring. But I do enjoy a good black and white comic. The last black and white comic I read was Punk Rock Jesus by Sean Murphy, which was real good. I read the first issue of his White Knight run right now. It was something. It was well executed. I don't know about the if it's like my cup of tea writing wise. It's weird because like in Europe most stuff is black and white. Yeah, manga's the same way, but like American stuff is all color. So like, you know, and also what I do is think about color all the time, every day, always. But yeah, I went to school with Sean, and knew him in school. We're buds. We still know each other. I don't know why I just qualified that with in school, but so it's like hard for me to read his books and not see his personality, which is great because an artist's personality should absolutely 100% shine through to like what they're doing. If an artist's personality doesn't shine through, then you're probably making something for somebody else, and it's probably not as solid. You'd rather have 100 pages in comics in black and white than 30 in color? Why not 100 in color? I guess it depends on the color artist. Like, here's the thing. The argument that you're making is like all... I mean, and maybe you're not making this. Maybe I'm picking fights with chat, which does not behoove me. But, oh yeah, Black Sad's great. The art is nuts. Black Sad's so damn good, speaking of European comics. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, it's tough for me to read Sean's work, not because he's not talented, but because like I see all of my experiences with him in the work like so vividly that it like takes me out of the comics. You're comparing monthly publications. Yeah, but you know, I don't know. There's a place. There's a place, I think, for all kinds of comics and all different types. And if you're into like 100 pages of black and white art a month, then like there's comics out there for you. And if you're into like good color, there's going to be comics out there for you. And you know, the other thing to keep in mind too is that like, you know, I thought that I knew what I wanted out of comics. I turned 36 just recently. And I thought I knew what I wanted out of comics when I was 21 years old. And that has changed as I've gotten older. Not necessarily for the better. Like, you know, it's not for the better. It's not for the worse. It's just like, you know, tastes change, and what you're into now might not be what you're into 30 years from now. And to make like, you know, it's just tough to make statements like comics like this would be better, you know, because it's like, well, comics like that are different. So we put a little reflected light into the rubber of her suit. I actually think that we might desat the suit a little bit, just a little bit. I've hit a point where like I've liked so many different things and then fallen out of love with so many other things as well, that like when it comes to comics, I'm just happy people are making comics the way they want to make comics. Like, and it sounds like kind of a cop-out answer, but like it's really not. Like I just love comic books, and if somebody is making a comic book in a way where they are happy and they're talented and they're like the love of the book is showing through, then like they're gonna make great comics and I want to read them. And it doesn't matter like how you approach it. Yeah, so we desatted it a little to make it look different than the cape. Here it is with the smoke. So excuse my sniffles, by the way. I'm still kind of getting over a cold. We're gonna super black this. So we're at like an hour 40 right now. Is it true that mainstream Marvel was ruined by diversifying? That's a loaded question. I would say fuck no. Yeah. Hulk Hoquin just in the chat responds to that with oh no. Look, man. Diversity in comics is a positive thing, period. End of story. Like, everybody should get to make comics the way they want to make them. And, you know, just because every comic out there isn't just for you, does not mean that comics are bad. And, like, you know, there's stuff that the publishing industry is trying to get over, and there's stuff that comics fans don't necessarily know about as far as the way the publishing industry works, that, like, you know, sometimes stuff is like out of people's power. This is a trap. He's just here to troll. Yeah, I don't know, man. But if you're coming into my stream and being like diversity in comics is bad, you care little for American comics. All right, bud. But like, you know, if you're coming into my stream and being like American comics are bad, or like diversity in comics is bad, then you know you can leave. I mean, I don't know, some sales, this is the thing, is like you if you're in the industry long enough, you know that like, okay, when I started making comics in like 2003, Image sales were down. Image was in this huge slump, and like Marvel was reigning supreme, and now like there's been an Image boom with The Walking Dead, and yeah, the only American comics you have are Walking Dead and 100 Bullets. Both very good comics. And then, you know, there's like an Image boom now where like Image comics are doing very, very well, and DC has recently like been doing very well, but like Marvel isn't so much now. And it's not even that they're doing bad. They're not doing bad. Like, they're still making great books. But like, there's always a tendency to try to figure out who's doing good and who's doing bad. And it's like, dude, we're all in the same pool. Like, and we're all trying to do the best we can. And I know it's kind of like a cop-out answer, but like, it's true. Like, I'm figuring out super blacks just so I can see how this is gonna look. I just feel like, you know, when we start to be like, oh well, Marvel's bad now, oh well, DC's good now, like, you start to get into this trap of like, well, not everything at DC's good. Like, DC might be a little bit better than Marvel right now, but like, you're talking about overall like a 20, 50% of like American comics that are coming out, you can't be like all of these are good and all of these are bad. You got to like kind of like understand that comics are just different, and like, you know, you take there's like, you know, not everything Image puts out is great. Not everything, you know, DC and Marvel put out is great. Conversely, you know, sometimes Image Comics and Marvel Comics and DC Comics all put out like awesome shit. Like, to say like one company's bad and one company's good, I feel like it's especially reductive. All right. Why is this not doing what I want it to do? So this is kind of what it'll look like with the smoke. I don't know if I necessarily... maybe if we do... where like the smoke's dropping it back, like warm up the black back there. Maybe we're having problems with the smoke. Maybe the problem isn't with the super black. But it's looking a little weird. Oh. You're back with audio. Yeah, what Italian comics are you into? Like, this is the thing. I would 100% much rather have the conversation of, here are the comics that I love, rather than like, this comic is bad. You know, like, be constructive, not destructive. I feel like a lot of comics culture is a little bit more destructive than it should be. You know, I think it's cheesy, but I think like comics needs like far more positivity and far more excitement. Like, comics shouldn't be like a dreary, like, what's good, what's bad, I'm here to complain kind of thing. You know? Dylan Dog, Nathan Never, and Morgan Lost. Man, I haven't heard of any of those, and I'm excited to check them out. I'm not up on European comics. All right, so I feel like we're getting to a place where this panel is like worked as much as it can work. Maybe if we just straight up like colored this, we can get it into a good space. I'm trying to like warm up the line art, and it's not quite doing what I want it to do, but that's okay. I'll tweak it once we start like tweaking the whole page. None of those were translated into English. Dark Horse did publish 8 or so Dylans, but they were censored. Oh, that sucks. As for the Dylan comic movie, it's got nothing to do with the comic, name aside. Yeah. I mean, yeah, and that's the other thing, like Hulk Hoquin just said, there's a lot of good stuff coming out that's like not out of the big two, too. Like, I don't think that American comics are necessarily 100% represented by Marvel and DC exclusively. There's good comics all over, man. There's no need to bring the hate, just bring the love. at any rate, I think this panel is done. Let's work on, I think this panel should be pretty easy. So let's work on this panel down here and then like try to figure out, and then maybe we'll break and then tomorrow we'll do the top two up here. I think that sounds pretty good. I think it sounds like a plan. It's hard to find in Europe. Yeah, man. I've actually, so, I've had a couple of people on stream like come and be like, hey, I love Cave Carson, but like it's tough to find in Germany. I have like one issue here, one issue there, and like that's about it. And I've been wanting to open up like an Etsy shop that will handle international shipping, so that you know, like I can kind of get rid of my comps, because a lot of them that are not variants like don't really sell at shows, and then B, like I want to be able to provide like yeah, no, I was very happy with this panel as well. Like this panel was pretty challenging, and I feel like it got to a good place. Your one flat page took you 3 to 4. It was 4 panels, 3 to 4 hours and 4 panels. Yeah. Yeah, we're cooking. We're moving right along. We're gonna do a little face painting here. We'll put a little horsey and a little make this guy a little kitty cat. And then we're gonna move on. But like, yeah, I've heard this before that like it's tough to get American comics in Europe, and I imagine, you know, like for good reason, because it's like tough to get European comics over here. One page took 3 or 4 hours. Yeah, man, flatting's tough. You're like, hats off to the flatters out there, because it's not easy and it takes a long time. There's a reason why I get my stuff flatted, because it is time consuming. I have a Cave Carson thing that's like I want to talk about, but I can't talk about, that I'm going to send to a flatter, and then I'm going to watch that flatter slowly die. slowly just hate me more and more as the book wears on. It's a very detailed artist that is working on it. And I forgot what the artist's name. The reason I forgot is because like I haven't started working on it yet, so I haven't like assimilated the information. I haven't, one of the things that I do when I start something, especially working with a new artist, is see how people colored that artist in the past. Which is, if you're an aspiring colorist out there, you should probably be doing the same thing. Because knowledge is power, and if somebody has figured out a good solution to something, you know, pull those solutions out and then make it better. Yeah, so I haven't actually started doing my research and everything yet. So I gotta ping my you're fine. You're on subject. I gotta ping my DC editor about what Cave Carson stuff I can and can't put on stream, and what they're ready for, like what the like launch problems are. The thing is like, I've been talking to Mike Oming, who draws Cave Carson, the regular book. We did 12 issues together, and we're gonna hopefully do some more. About like coming on the stream and talking Cave Carson while I'm like working on it, much like I had Charlie on the stream about like how to pitch your comic to editors. And yeah, so I got to figure out like what we can work on. But if we can't work on that, we'll work on some Powers, because Mike owns the rights to Powers, and he's like, you know, put it up as much as you want. Yeah, I want to sell comics. Yeah, I want to take, I want to open like a small Etsy shop. You did not mishear. I do want to open a small Etsy shop eventually. Sell comics, comic sketches, commissions, like all that kind of stuff. But it's just like I only have so many hours in the day, and like trying to regularly go down to the post office to like ship all that stuff out, especially like internationally. It's just tough, man. Trying to find the time. I know the demand is there, and I hear you, and I hear that, you know, there are people in Europe who are like, I'm trying to find these comics and it's tough. So yeah, I hear you. You're in my thoughts. I'm trying to put it all together. We'll see. It's also, I run into like, you know, like with something like Heartthrob, where I own a piece of the IP, and like I'm friends with the dudes that you know, work on it, and that sort of thing. Like, I don't think I'd have any problem like selling that in the shop, but like legally I might have a problem selling DC comic books. Can you have my copy of Spider-Man Maximum Carnage? No way, man. No way. Are you talking the cartridge, or are you talking the comic? My red cartridge is staying with me. I bought that. I bought Spider-Man Maximum Carnage. The because your work hours and commuting hours, Zip can only make it to the post office on Saturdays. Yeah, might scale by a scale and print postage. Yeah, see, that's the thing, is like I got to get like totally outfitted. As far as like I can't willy-nilly it. Like, it's got to be, if I'm going to do it as like an operation, I got to do it, which means that like I have to put the man hours into like figuring all that stuff out, as well as executing in a meaningful way. And like I don't want to do it half-assed. So and the other thing I was just going to say is like there might be like a legal problem with me selling DC comics. So, you know, like I'd definitely check with Marvel and DC, and because, you know, like those are my guys. And I don't want to do anything to irk them. So, you know, we'll see what happens. It's in my thought, but we'll see if we get there or not. We're just trying to add some defining features to the face here. Whoop. Doing like real little renderings. Face is all wrinkly and whatnot, because he is a well-worn man who has seen some shit. But yeah, if you don't think for nostalgic purposes you want it, so I bought I pre-ordered Maximum Carnage was the first book that I ever pre-ordered. Battle Angel Alita, that sticks in my mind for some reason. I don't know what that is. Is that manga? I don't even know. The name like rings a bell from like 2000, after 10 years of being out of print. Yeah, so I pre-ordered Maximum Carnage because I wanted it came with a Ugly Eye Joe single. If you pre-order it on cassette way back in the day. And so I pre-ordered it, and then I did not pick up my pre-order, and I felt extreme guilt. Sup, boys? We're talking about Maximum Carnage, when we all know the real Spider-Man game is on the Sega CD, because it has the great swing time on it. That's where the money is. I got ripped off with that Ugly Eye Joe cassette. What I needed was swing time. Unfortunately, you guys are tuning in like near the end of the stream. Yeah. I'm just kind of adding some details into the jacket. We're gonna try to pop the jacket silhouette a little bit, because Jeremy did that in the art, so let's embrace it. Did like a little subtle orange game in there, so that you know it's going down. Sorry for my sniffles, man. I'm trying not to sniffle on camera or on into the mic, but it gets away from me sometimes. I apologize. All right. All right, so we have panel 1, 2, 3 and panel 5 done. I think. How many comics do I have in my collection? Dude, I don't even know. I have like 2 bookshelves up full of comics, but I've also been slowly purging comics, and I've been buying digital lately. Rather than physical. I'm also not really a collector. I do this thing where, and I encourage all of you to do this as well, is with comics, what I like to do is I'll get a comic book that I really love and I will lend it out like crazy. And I purposefully don't keep track of when things are lended out, who they're lended out to, because if it's something that I really love, I'll buy it again. I love it. I will absolutely throw the artist and writer and colorist and editorial and company, whatever, I'll buy it again. I actually just realized that I don't know where my copy of Watchmen is. Doomsday Clock just came out from DC. Which is a super ambitious project that I'm very interested in. And I was like, well, maybe I should read Watchmen again, just kind of refresh myself because I've read it so many times. And I don't know where it is, so we're gonna buy another one. Fuck it. You've bought Sex Criminals multiple times. Yeah, I did. It's funny that you say that because the first Sex Criminals trade that I read, I bought it, loved it, and lent it out that same day, and I haven't gotten it back. So I was thinking about buying one of the hardcovers. Yeah, I was going to get into Doomsday once they're all out, because it's 12 issues straight. It's for the year, and it doesn't affect anything in the DCU until a year from now. So once they're all out, then it affects the world. So I don't know. I'm stoked on it. I know Alan Moore did not want Watchmen folded into the DCU, but I don't know. It's an old book. People love the characters. It's gonna get folded in. There's nothing you can really do. I don't know. It's out of his hands, unfortunately, but I'll read what they're doing. Oh yeah, rebuying gets expensive. I mean, there's stuff. I have original Cave Carson issues over there that are $70-$80 an issue from the Silver Age, first appearance stuff. I don't really want to lend that out, but trade paperbacks that are in print, lend them out. I have half of Why the Last Man, the back half sitting over there. I don't know who I lent the front half to. I was thinking about maybe rebuying in hardcover. I don't know. Those are super cool because I worked on those when I was coming up in comics. I flatted a lot of that stuff, so I have an affinity for it. So of course I'll rebuy it eventually. So I don't know. Why was drawn by a local artist? Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I flatted a lot of that when I was coming up in the studio. You did not care for Why. Wow. You got opinions, Mad. You got opinions. Why borrow when you can accidentally gift? Yeah. At any rate, let's take a look at the page we got going on here. So I think we're doing a pretty good job of. We can add the texture in too, I guess, if you want to, because this page has a thing of texture on it. So yeah, so we can cut and paste the texture in. We got it at overlay 40%. Do we paste it in properly? Yeah, 40% overlay. Oop. Kind of get an idea of like what it's gonna look like. So here's kind of like where we need to continue the scene from. So I think we're doing a pretty good job of continuing it, but like amping up a little bit of the red, and that's going to amp up as we go. Be sure to check out those Italian comics, Dylan Dog, Nathan Never, Morgan Lost. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely do that. I'm probably gonna do that this weekend actually, because I'm gonna be at a family thing, and there's gonna be a lot of downtime. So, wow, people are throwing a lot of judgments around this. I can't focus on the chat right now. So we did this panel here and this panel down here. I think we worked them to a pretty good point. When we come back, we're gonna finish off this top tier, and then maybe do some additional stuff. Maybe do like the next page. I'm not exactly sure what we're gonna be doing. I might finish this off on my own and just show you guys how it ended up, where it ended up. And then when I come back and we do more Realm, I'll show you like where we're gonna end as far as like shifting the palette, because I think that'll be interesting. And then when you pick up the issue, you can check like how successful I was in the transition, in how we ended up, and you know, like you can see where we ended, you know. But anyway, that's gonna be it for me for today. We cracked some old Harry Potter cards over the weekend. You guys can check those out as well. Cards are like 15 years old. I love card games. So the camera's moving around a lot. I gotta lock the focus on that thing. When we're gonna crack some more boxes sometime soon, and we're gonna do that very, very soon, because those boxes are eating a hole in my pocket. Yeah, and we'll lock the camera for that next time. So look forward to that. For now, coloring is done. The stream is getting quiet, so quiet. And I'll talk to you guys sometime soon. Thanks for hanging out.